It is straight up 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Major League Baseball, Craig Kimbrell got the save for the National League as they beat the American League in Seattle 3-2, the NL's first win in the All-Star game since 2012. The regular season will pick back up on Friday. Only 2 games remain before the Major League Soccer regular season goes into a month-long break for Leagues Cup, and tonight, Nashville Soccer Club returns home to Geodis Park to host Philadelphia Union in an Eastern Conference matchup. Nashville currently second in the Eastern Conference. Philadelphia is 6th. Kickoff is at 7:30. Pregame coverage starts right here on The Zone at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Welcome in, Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone, coming to you on a Wednesday. No Mickey Ryan today, continues to enjoy his vacation. I'm Lucas Panzica, hanging out with Blaine Bishop until 3 o'clock. Jackson Williams, Reed Smith on the other side of the glass as we continue, Blaine, to work through July. Is July the worst sports month, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's all downtime for a lot of major sports before they get going. But, hey, I thought Major League Baseball did a, fantastic job with their All-Star weekend. So they kind of got a weekend to themselves with the home run, which I was disappointed Mookie didn't win. But, the All-Star game last night. So, but I have other problems, though, and I need to get this out before we even get going on the show, because I know how when you get to going, man, you can't stop. You like the Energizer Bunny.
You're coming in hot.
I have a grave issue. How do I keep birds from freaking putting a nest over my fan on my patio? I have knocked it down 10 times. 10 times, because I'm afraid, it'll start laying eggs in there. So I'm immediately going up there, knocking the nest down, and then, letting it, and then sweeping it off my porch, So it's just been a grave issue. I didn't Google anything. I just keep going out there. My wife laughs at me, and I'll turn the fan on so they'll redirect and won't come and keep, but I don't want to keep my fan on the whole freaking time. So I'll turn it off. So I've gone home the last probably 2 weeks and have to take half of a nest. And it's funny how they make them, with mud and everything else. That's how much I know about. And because when I sweep it off the top of my fan, it's mud all in there as well as with the nest. So it's really kind of creative by the birds. And you hear them chirping all the time, like 5 in the morning. That's probably when they're doing it. And I go out there and be like, no can do.
No mercy.
I got to take this bird nest down, man, because it's always about halfway done. And I'm like, no, come down. Poof. Yep.
The hitman needs your help.
Yeah, I need some help.
615-737-1045 for Blaine's Bird Solutions. See, I think my parents would have the opposite. My parents love when birds get set up.
My wife wants them. I said, no, they need to go in the corner somewhere, on this patio and do that. Not on my fan. No way. And I said, they're going to get clipped by that fan. Because I'll turn it on and they'll try to break.
That's fair. They'll go flying off.
I caught them coming in while the fan is on and redirect with the nest stuff in their mouth. You could see it. They're coming to build it. And redirect. They almost ran into each other. It was hilarious. I just happened to catch them when I opened the door, and I'm like, let me see if they come. Like, no, get away. And some people are telling me to get like an owl and sit it like there in your yard, and they'll
like a fake owl,
right?
To scare them away.
Yeah. So I haven't tried that, but I don't know, man. This is first world problems.
So is it more that you don't want them nesting on your patio, or you are concerned for the bird's safety with the moving fan, or is it a little bit of both?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Okay. Because the fan will just launch the nest right off.
Right. Yeah. Right. Of course. So, and I get why they want to put it there, but also I don't want them flying up, on my patio like that. I don't know.
They're pooping everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I sit out there and I relax, watch the flat screen. I'm just chilling. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to, enclose this. Because I don't want to enclose it. I like, So I was like, man, this is becoming an issue. It's becoming work. It is. It's like, who's going to win? The birds or me? Yeah, putting up a nest.
Man.
These guys are persistent too, man. They keep coming back. Yeah. We're going to wait them out.
The lines are lighting up. People have solutions for you.
Help me out, because the hitman needs some help, because I'm getting fatigued on knocking the nest down, half of a nest, and I feel bad because I'm like, I can't see if it's an actual, I don't want it to have eggs in it.
Yes.
So I always do it every day because I don't want it to happen, because then if I knock it down, then, an egg, I'd feel really bad.
Right.
So, my wife was like, no, just leave it up there. It'll be okay. No. I said, okay, what about if the birds attack Ziggy, our dog?
The line's drawn there.
Yeah, right.
They start dive bombing the dog.
Okay, yeah, he's already 13, and I don't know how old that is in dog years, but man, it's up there. He's close to 80. So yeah, I need some help, man. Help me out. People are okay.
Oh,
yeah, let's take some callers.
I mean, the phones are lining up. Blaine Bishop's bird problem. Scoop on the F&M Bank chat where you can hang out with us. Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Chime in 615-737-1045. But Scoop says build a birdhouse. Give them a place to go.
Birdhouse. Yeah, I could.
We'll see what Emily has to say. Emily,
all right, go buy one.
Emily in the borough, help us out here. What you got?
Let Jackson
Hey,
build one.
Blaine.
How you doing?
Go to Co-op or Tractor Supply, maybe even Wally World, and buy one of those big owl statues. They're plastic.
See, that's what people
There
And
you go.
because owls eat birds, and you can get you 2 or 3 of them and just put them around out there where your problem is, and that might help. My dog's name's Ziggy too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Emily.
Woo-hoo.
There you go.
Yeah.
Birds don't want nothing to do with that owl.
Yeah,
Just go get an owl.
I know that might. Yeah, one of my neighbors said that's what they do, and I was just like, I don't want to go buy an owl. The owls are scary, man. I know it's a fake one, but I'm like, ooh.
You think you'd start flinching a little
I'm
bit?
like, oh man, that looks real, man. I don't know. May scare my
He's
dog.
going to wake up any moment.
Yeah, there's a guy I got here from Greenbrier, Philip.
Philip in Greenbrier, what's your solution? Go ahead,
Hello.
Philip. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. The owl thing is one thing. You just need to make sure you get the one that's got the head that swivels.
Oh,
man, that
so
sounds
it
terrifying.
looks more lifelike.
God.
Thanks, Philip.
Oh man, that sounds.
I mean,
scary.
if you're worried about getting jump scared by your fake stationary owl, imagine an owl that turns its head whenever you walk into the patio.
Man, that'd be a little scary.
I don't know about that. I think even I'd be. I don't know about that. Nick in Nashville has a solution to Blaine Bishop's bird problem. What you got, Nick?
Yeah, aluminum foil.
Oh.
I had a bird problem under my carport. They were nesting on my light under there, and I tried spraying stuff. It didn't really work. Put some aluminum foil where their nest is and just tape it. They don't like the texture, and it got mine away. So there you go.
Oh, so just take. I wonder what it is about that
Thank you,
texture
Nick.
that they don't like. Wow, some aluminum foil. So I had to get my ladder out, put some aluminum foil up there. Okay.
Oh, Dusty tweets us at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter. He says, put a mirror up there.
Oh my! I'm gonna go sell it off of a bike or my dirt bike. Yeah. No, I got you. Nah, I have not heard that one. So they don't like looking at themselves, or it scares them.
Maybe they think it's another bird and they're infringing on somebody else's territory. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about birds to confirm or deny any of those theories.
Yeah, I only know about a cardinal. That's it.
So last night you're not watching the MLB. Oh, is it a cardinal? What kind of bird is it?
Cardinals.
Okay,
No, they're not.
so you're not watching the MLB All-Star game last night. You're fighting birds. I'm picturing you fighting with birds
Well,
in
I
your
caught
in
the
your
end of there.
back
It was kind
patio.
of exciting, but I was dealing with the bird issue. I finally just got to a point where it was just like, okay, I got to figure out something, man. I can't be doing this every day. My wife is just laughing, sweeping the porch and everything, and it's become dirt on there. I'm like, dang it, now I done messed up the porch. Like, come on.
How long has this been a problem?
Oh, about 3 weeks.
Oh man,
And I keep going out there every day just because I don't want them to build a full-fledged nest going all the way around. Because if it does, then I lost. I lost. It's a battle now. We're battling because I'm afraid they're gonna start sitting up there and laying eggs and all kind of crap. Then I'm like, oh, I feel bad. That was their home. Yeah. See, and I don't know what's in that.
you
egg.
don't need that guilt.
Yeah, I don't. I'm afraid if I knock, the nest down, it's a full nest. It may be.
Oh, you don't want that. And then you hear the little babies chirping.
Yeah,
you don't want that on your
conscience. And they're gonna be
conscience.
upset, and I don't blame them. So I'm trying to prevent all of that. Yeah.
615-737-1045.
Be congregating here, man. This is not the hangout spot.
We're continuing our tour of Tennessee 2023 opponents, previewing each and every one of them, at least in the SEC. So Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News is going to join us. But we have time for some more bird solutions because this does seem to be a serious problem. 615-737-1045 if you want to chime in. Lonzo on the F&M Bank chat says a BB gun should take care of your bird problem. It's a little too barbaric.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the BB gun, man. Those things be out there chirping, and they probably up there like, hey, man, where the nest go? I mean, early in the morning. I get up early, so I'm just, it's 5 o'clock. They're up there. So then that makes me get up, and then I'm, hovering around, getting me some coffee, and then, okay, let me go out here and see. I hear these birds all out here chirping it, and then there they are, building a nest. Like, these dudes... they will not give up.
Well, now, birds can be vengeful creatures, by the way.
Oh,
so
really?
they might be out to get you at this point. They might be just circumnavigating everything you put into place. Have you ever seen a bird go after a crow?
No.
It's insane.
I've never seen that. And they've never actually seen me. I've seen them from my door looking out there bringing stuff in, and I say, I'm going to turn this fan on and see if it'll stop them. And it does every time. And then I'll go out there and then just take the nest out. But I don't know much about the birds' personalities now. Like you saying they get
I'm telling you,
like,
they don't mess around. In my parents' backyard.
See, that's what I'm saying. They go tag Ziggy, my dog.
I'm telling you, in my parents' backyard, there are crows, there's birds everywhere. There's a lot of wildlife down there where they live in Birmingham. And if a crow gets too close to the nest, or the crow wants to snip up the little eggs and they want to eat the babies, and I see it all the time sitting on my parents' back porch, a tandem of little tiny birds dive bombing at a crow, just going at this thing, and the crow trying to get away, and these birds circling it and coming at it from different angles. I'm telling you, they don't mess around.
I want to hear some bird crow battles. If anybody's seen it, like, man, it's that vicious like that. They had to get them as a group, right?
Oh, they tag team this. I mean, I'm telling you, the crow tries to eat the bird's babies, and then they just start going at it. They just start dive bombing this thing from left and right, and the crow's trying to get away, and the bird's like, no, come back here. You want to come at us? We're going to come at you. They're vengeful creatures. They're cute, and they're chirpy, and they're nice to hear in the morning, but don't be fooled. Those birds, they don't mess around.
Yeah, I don't have a bird cage in my house. I don't need all that extra chirping.
I bet Cheeseburger.
I don't even set an alarm anymore.
Something tells me Cheeseburger has a solution to your bird problem. What's up, Cheeseburger?
What's going on, guys? How you doing today, Blaine?
We're doing great, man.
Great, man.
Help me out, man.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good too. Hey, Blaine, about your bird problem, you should get some. They got it at stores. They got something you can hang outside your front porch. It's to keep the birds away. Something to scare them away. You can. I'm not sure. I forget what it's called, but at FedEx Ground I work at here in Nashville, we have stuff inside our building that keeps the birds out. So yeah, you can go to the store, look at that. I forget what it's called, but they got stuff you can hang
Home Depot or
outside
something.
your front porch that scares birds away. And also, the Titans this year, you can go ahead and book it now. I'm calling it playoffs already. And also, get ready, because Florida State, it's going to be our year this year, baby. Florida State, they're due for a national championship this year. Look out, baby. Let's go. It's the Lucas and Blaine show today. Yeah.
Tighten up.
Let's go. Tighten up. Let's go.
Thanks,
Hey,
Cheeseburger.
hit on Florida State for tomorrow. Can we talk a little bit about Florida State this upcoming season?
Oh, they don't play Tennessee, do they?
No, they don't. But I will say, Cheeseburger's been calling in a lot over the years about Florida State being national championship contenders. And, usually it's easy to dismiss. But I'm very intrigued by Florida State this year.
We had Phil Steele on, and he kind of was glowingly talking about him too. And Mike, Norvell used to be at Memphis. Has been there I think it's going on his
going into year 4?
4, yeah.
The patience is paying off right now.
It is, yeah, because a lot of fans really wanted them to really push to get Dion, and he's a legend from there, from that school, and a graduate. So maybe not a graduate, but so he went there. So yeah, and they trying to get back to the promised land. They used to be one of the dominant programs when I was coming up in high school. That was always in the mix, from Casey Weldon to Charlie Ward to quarterback to Ward Dunn. I mean, they
10 years ago, Blaine, Jimbo Fisher winning the national
He winning
championship.
the national championship with Jalen Ramsey and those guys on the team. They had a great team, on both offense and defense. Yeah. So they have a nice little history here. So I'm interested to see if they can turn that corner. In the ACC, they got you would say, somewhat of an easier route. There's always some elite teams at the top, the ACC. But, it's pretty cool to see Florida State back up in the picture.
Double-digit wins for FSU last year. I don't know about national championship contenders in 2023, but I do know Alabama is, though I feel like there is some restlessness among the Alabama fan base. I don't
because
know.
Georgia's passed them. That's why. That is why. That is the only reason. They've passed them.
Nick Kelly's got his finger on the pulse. Nick Kelly of Tuscaloosa News. He joins us. Coming up next, we will preview Alabama football for 2023. It's Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
All right. Your garage, is it just a disaster? Can you even get your car in the garage? You know what I'm talking about. What about all your sporting goods, your kids' toys? Maybe you got like a bunch of cool hunting stuff. Maybe you got bicycles and tennis rackets and all this stuff. You don't know what to do with any of it. It's just kind of thrown in there. Well, guess what? Hello Garage, they got solutions for storage and workspaces and benches and places to put and hang everything that goes in your garage. Now, you still got to clean it up, but they can help you put it in all the right places. The other thing is this, maybe you got the one friend who's got it, the garage mahal, and you go over there and like the floor's all cool looking. Well, guess what? Most of those floors are just junk. A lot of them. Not Hello Garage. They got the best in the business. 100% polyaspartic flooring. You may not know what that means. It means it looks great and lasts longer. Like the oil maybe that drips out of something or the sun. Won't hurt it. It's going to look great for a long, long time. Look, stop using your garage as your house's junk drawer. Make it your front door. Get your dream garage today with Hello Garage. Call them. Free estimate, 1-888-59-GARAGE or online at HelloGarage.com to schedule that free estimate today with Hello Garage.
It's an interesting offseason in Tuscaloosa. I'm having a hard time gauging what Alabama football is going to be this year, Blaine. Welcome in, Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone. Because you can count on one hand the amount of teams that have more talent just on paper on a 247 Sports talent composite than Alabama football. But at the same time, it feels like there is a restless nature to the Alabama fan base right now. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Where do you stand on how Alabama fans should feel at this point in the offseason?
I completely agree with that. It's because they've been so used to being on top. Now, I think they were they number 1 or number 2 this year in recruiting?
They were the number one team.
Right,
they finished with the best recruiting class in the country.
I think they're not getting the results that they want and they're not used to. And I think it has to do with more so their depth. That's where the kind of Georgia's getting them a little bit, let alone, they're winning the big games and everything else. But they don't feel like they're as dominant because I don't feel like they are. When you got a team that's now going for, the three-peat, man, this will top, old Nicky Poo there as the best ever because I don't think he's ever done that 3 in a row, right? Nicky Poo, you like that one, huh?
You know who the last program, and Nick Kelly, the Tuscaloosa News, on the line, going to join us here in just a second. But real quick, trivia question. Ooh. The last college football program to three-peat with national championships.
Three-peat. What era was it? Can you give me a hint?
The 30s.
Oh.
Minnesota.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't have guessed it.
Nick Saban went back-to-back. I mean, people have gone back-to-back.
Back-to-back. Yeah.
Nobody's three-peated in the modern era. So.
And they're going to and if Georgia does it, they're doing it with a new quarterback. By the way,
that's right.
A new starting quarterback.
Hasn't been announced, but Carson Beck, the presumed starter, down in Athens. But Nick Kelly, @_Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News, joins us here on Blaine and Mickey. Nick, does Alabama have enough? Obviously not playing Georgia in the regular season this year, but did the Tide have enough to prevent the historic three-peat from the Georgia Bulldogs? Appreciate you coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. That's a great question. Honestly, pretty early to tell. Actually, I'm from Minnesota. I wasn't around when that happened.
You were 2, weren't you? You were 2, Nick. I know you were, man.
No, I was 3. I was 3 at the time. So, I think obviously, yeah, Georgia makes a lot of sense. They'd be my pick to win the SEC. But it's tough to win a national championship 3 times in a row. Yeah. Could they do it? Sure, but am I ready to just if season's over? National champs, it's probably pretty early for that. But Alabama, yes, is not as on paper, dominant players at several positions. But last year, that's what we thought with Bryce Young and Will Anderson. You had 2 of the top 3, for sure 5 players in college football, and they didn't make the playoff. So I think that ultimately, no, this Alabama team doesn't have those guys, but maybe it doesn't need it. Maybe they need more of the depth that sounds like they have, or it seems like they have. And no, we don't know who their quarterback is going to be, but you have to really like what they have: running back, receiver, offensive line. There's some intriguing pieces. Defensively, their secondary could be the best in the country. So there's a lot to like. Could it beat Georgia? I don't know. Too early to tell. But there's a decent chance we could find that out in the SEC championship game.
Nick, where we are, Tennessee coming off its first 11-win season in what feels like 100 years, and Tennessee fans are just bouncing off the wall with excitement on the direction of the program. Meanwhile, Alabama coming off a 10-win season, and it feels like there's a restlessness about the fan base in Tuscaloosa, especially given the question marks, like you said, around the quarterback position and what Georgia has done. What's the vibe check right now in Tuscaloosa? I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think in some ways you would have sworn that Alabama went like 7-5 last year, 6-6. They still went 10-2, which is a really solid year for most programs. I mean, I went to Missouri, and I mean, if they had a 10-2 year, that'd be fantastic. But the standard here is very high. It's incredibly high, and so I think that, and not just here, but nationally. Alabama lost 2 games. Now, of course, they won a few games by a close margin, too, so you can't just say that, if they had one more play. You could play the what-if game a lot, but still, it was a really good team last year. And so I don't know that Alabama's that far away. It's just that because of the standard that Alabama's had. I mean, it was kind of crazy when they lost LSU, just in terms of how some people just had given up on the season. And there was even a shot toward the end that they maybe were going to be the playoff. I didn't quite think that they had a good enough case to make the playoff, but even toward the end, it was closer than I thought it was going to be.
Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News with us on 104.5 The Zone.
Well, Nick, you mentioned it, and you talked about, they don't know who the starting quarterback is, but just kind of focus in on a kid who's not too far from Nashville, and that's Ty Simpson, who's from Martin. What could you say about him and his chances of being the starter, and how has he looked so far? He's still a young player, but does he have any shot to win the job, you think?
I think he certainly does. I mean, but in the same way, so do Jalen Milroe and Tyler Buckner, I should say. Now they have a Tyler and a Ty, so that's going to mess with me a little bit. But no, it's one of those things where this is a genuine competition. It's not, hey, everything's always a competition, wink, wink. This is a genuine competition from all that I can tell, people I've spoken with. And that's why they brought in a Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame. Not necessarily that he's going to be the guy 100%, but they weren't quite satisfied with what they had in the spring. Nick Saban said as much, that they wanted, these guys had a chance to win it, but they basically, I'm paraphrasing him here, but he had said around the time of the draft that they decided they wanted to bring in another quarterback. So Ty Simpson certainly does have a shot to win it. Doesn't mean he will, but I think if he really felt like he didn't have a chance, same with Jalen Milroe, we would have seen one of them transfer, that's what surprised me the most. They kept all their quarterbacks. And so they have 5 scholarship guys at quarterback right now. It's a crowded room. But the fact that both Milroe and Simpson stayed, even when Buckner was added, tells me that there's no indication otherwise that they won't get to compete for the job. And it's open competition. We'll see what happens in fall camp.
Well, naturally, with the new coordinator, Tommy Rees, does that give the edge to anybody else? We just, coming from, Notre Dame. And is his style the same, or is it going to be Saban-style offense? Yeah, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I mean, the natural train of thought would be, okay, they brought in a Notre Dame guy who knows Tommy Rees, but I don't know that means that he's going to have just a huge leg up, because there's a lot of question marks about Tyler Buckner, too. I mean, there's some things to like there, but he's been hurt at times, and he hasn't shown consistency in some ways. And so you're not bringing in a guy as a surefire starter. He could end up being the starter, and I'm sure I know him and Tommy have a good relationship, but that doesn't mean that he'll be the guy who ends up week one. Now, there is a scenario, too, where we see 2 guys starting at quarterback, or I shouldn't say starting, getting serious time in that first game, so splitting some time, and then maybe we see one guy by the week 2 against Texas. So it's a very fluid situation. Maybe that relationship helps Tyler Buckner, maybe it doesn't. Because the other thing to think about, to answer your second question, no, this is Nick Saban's offense. Tommy Rees is just going to put his sprinkling of his stuff into it, and so we'll see what that looks like exactly. But in some ways, Tyler Buckner is going to be a little behind, because Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson have been in that offense. And so he's going to have to adapt and learn that offense. So yes, he has a relationship with Tommy Rees, but he's not been in this offense. And I think that, I don't know if it'll hurt him, but it certainly doesn't put him ahead of the other guys.
Well, I was excited to ask you this question before I pass it back to Lucas, and that is, and it's a tough question because I couldn't give you the answer, but you're covering Alabama football. Who is the best player under Nick Saban in his time in Alabama? Give me one on offense and one on defense of all time under Saban.
Oh, man.
And the list is high. I mean, we just mentioned 2 guys right there that just graduated, went in the top 3 in the draft. And then, but are they the top 2 that you've seen over the last decade, let's say?
I mean, that's tough. This is going to be my 3rd season covering the team, so I didn't have a front row seat to all of it. But, I mean, gosh, you probably have to start with the Heisman Trophy winners, right? With I mean, if it's me, I almost put Derrick Henry as the best offensive player that he's ever had. I mean, because that dude was just dominant. But, I mean, Bryce Young didn't win a national championship as a starter, but, I mean, he was crazy good. And, they're really – well, they've just had so many talented guys, and you guys know it. So, I mean, I don't know if I can –
So it's hard to narrow it down. Can you give me one defensive guy? I mean, you mentioned a couple. Okay, give me a couple defensive guys that you think would be up there just off the top of your head. Tough question, though.
Yeah, no, it is a tough question. Micah Fitzpatrick was fantastic for him. I mean, Quinnen Williams, great player. I'm probably forgetting a great linebacker of some kind. But no, I mean,
What
I don't
about,
mean to
what
give
about,
you
I
easy
just
answer.
wanted to say his name because I met him, years ago and doing 707 when they came here to Tennessee. What about Kool-Aid?
I mean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, he might be the best player on this team.
Yeah.
I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is he going to be the best under Nick Saban? Time will tell, but he's got some football still left to play. But no, Kool-Aid might be the best player in this team, and I'm excited to see what he can do in year 3. I mean, as a corner for one, but he's a fantastic punt returner as well. So he's a really exciting player for them, and he's in his 3rd season. I mean, they were excited about him when he got here.
Oh yeah, he's
ahead of
5-star.
what was it, 2021?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see why as it's played out. I mean, last year he really took a step forward. Teams don't really like to throw his way, and he's a fantastic athlete and great player for him. So, and with a great name to boot.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid. I'd love to know the story behind that. But yes, we're on with Nick Kelly, Tuscaloosa News.
I think I would almost say Will Anderson, Nick. As far as best defensive player, there's one freshman Nick Saban's been willing to start.
Surtain, too. He was a shutdown. I mean, the list is on, and all those D linemen, man.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It's a long list.
He didn't even mention Tua.
It's a long list.
And honestly, Will might be the best pick because just the way that Nick Saban's talked about him, and just the guy who he was for the team, the emotional leader. I mean, he was a fantastic player. I try to almost be like anti-recency bias because I'm cognizant of recency bias, but I mean, you can definitely make the argument that Will's the best defensive player under Nick Saban.
I feel like that'd be a fun conversation to just be like sitting at a sports bar watching two Bama fans yell at each other about. I'm sure they could get very animated about that.
No doubt.
Nick Kelly, the Tuscaloosa News, with us. It feels like there's a perception on this Alabama offense that, like Blaine mentioned, may be a turn back to those Nick Saban offenses of old, the A.J. McCarron offenses with the elite offensive line and the running game and a quarterback that's just not going to put you in a bad spot. Kind of like what Kirby's been doing with Stetson Bennett and this Georgia offense in recent years. Are we overthinking a little bit when we have that perception? Like, what did the big picture offseason signal to you when you consider the bringing in Tyler Buckner and Tommy Rees as the offensive coordinator on just the direction of this offense under Alabama?
As well as Kevin Steele.
Yes.
I mean, second go-round.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Saban wants balance. That's not a secret. He said it. He's talked about it. I mean, I think he even hinted at it before the end of last season. He wants more balance. But that does not necessarily mean running football more. Mm-hmm. I think it will in some ways. I think it will translate to more effective running of the football. But I don't think that it's going to be a matter of, okay, we're running this team like we did with Derrick Henry, because that's not today's game as much. And also that's not how Alabama is necessarily want to do things. When he talks about balance, I think you're going to see more just creativity and balance in terms of the types of plays they're running, whether it be incorporating more play action. And I mean, honestly, a smarter football mind than mine could tell you kind of more what that looks like. But I don't think it's as simple as, hey, we're getting back to the 2009 Alabama team, the way they ran the football. I don't think that's going to happen in that way. I think you're going to see more just ground and pound because they have more guys to do that. Their offensive line has talked about wanting to get an edge back, and I think that we'll see that more. But in terms of just straight running with, quote-unquote game manager quarterback, probably not, because also they've got some really interesting receivers. I mean, they've got a guy, Malik Benson, who is a guy who's from JUCO and was the top JUCO player in this past class. And I've heard some great things about him from people in the program. One person told me he could be the next electric receiver for this team. You've got some younger guys who are coming up still through the system, like Isaiah Bond and Kendrick Law. Jermaine Burton, the Georgia transfer, see what he can do. So, I mean, there's a lot to like at that receiver group. So I think there's no reason that you need to be like, okay, we're just running the ball, try and stop us. That's oversimplified. I think fans want that because let's be honest, it's a really fun brand of football league. You just punish people and just run straight at them. But it's more complicated than that. And I don't think that it'd be wise to just be that simple. But they've got a lot of options. They do have some great running backs who I think could be great. Justice Haynes, a freshman who people are really excited about here. And then you've got a veteran, Jace McClellan. You got Roydell Williams. You've got some other guys there. So I think that there's a lot to like offensively across the board. That just going simple dive up the middle. That type of stuff is not necessarily what you want to be doing all the time. But I think we're going to see just some more balance and creativity in terms of what's called, because with Bill O'Brien and Bryce Young, a lot of that was just let Bryce be Bryce and not necessarily doing some of the things that are really effective in college football. So I think it was important to Alabama to get a guy who's running a more college scheme and less so a recent NFL guy. And I think that's going to pay dividends with Tommy Rees.
This conversation will change in hindsight, I'm sure, after the season. But at this point, on July 12th, what do you view as the biggest challenge on Alabama's regular season schedule, and is it one of the UTs?
So I'm actually gonna pick not one of the UTs, although they're in my top three for toughest games. I think LSU is gonna be the toughest game. With what Brian Kelly's done there and what they have back, I mean, those receivers LSU has are going to be really good. They've got some defenders on the defensive line. I mean, Harold Perkins. I'm high on LSU. I think there's a chance that, depending on how things shake out, that LSU could have a shot at winning the West again. I think LSU will be the toughest game, but to me, Texas and Tennessee are in that top three as well.
Bama hosts all three. Nick Kelly of the Tuscaloosa News with us on 104.5 The Zone.
Before we let you go, we got to ask you a little bit of, something fun. And I saw you did media coach or A-Day. I don't know if that was this year or last year, but kind of take us through, give us behind the scenes. Like, tell us something that most people would know through your experience. I don't want you to take us through the whole experience, but like, kind of tell us, some things that, that a lot of people wouldn't know just because you were just a coach that day.
Yeah, it was really neat to kind of get that peek behind the curtain. But no, that their locker room, I mean, it's efficient. The coaches are being pretty boisterous, just trying to bark stuff out real quick because they don't have a ton of time to get to them. But I thought what was most interesting is just kind of how specific to this team, how Tommy Rees interacts with his players. Because I mean, he's a young guy. He's not he's not that much older than a lot of these guys. I mean, he's within a decade of most of these players. And he didn't, strike me as a yell, come after you kind of guy. I mean, I think he can be if he needs to be, but he really was just trying to ask questions and understand why guys saw what they saw or why they did what they did. So I think he's really inquisitive. And Kevin Steele, I mean, he's a little on the older side, and he's got some fire to him. It was fun to kind of see up close and personal just kind of how I think he's gonna instill some toughness in this defense and really give Nick Saban what he wants in terms of defensive coordinator. So it's interesting seeing that. But I think the snacks and wide array of food they have in the locker room at halftime, if you need it, they have just about any kind of snack you could want. Uncrustables are really popular among the guys, and also it was kind of cool when so they go through the Walk of Champions to get to the tunnel or get to at the end of a tunnel that leads right in the locker room. The doors opened up and the players came through, and Nick Saban popped in at the end and addressed the team, and it was a pretty cool just entrance, and you can see why they easily impress recruits when they get to see the facility. And but they're old school too. They use projectors like you'd find like your middle school classroom. At least back when I was in middle school, when they're trying to break things down at halftime or before the game. So there's some really fancy technology, some cool things, but also they go old school and they need to.
Well, we're hearing rumors already. One of the coaches may be going to Northwestern. Never know after this season. Old Tommy Rees, they're already saying he's a good fit. Hearing those rumors, you hearing that too, huh? Or no?
Well, I mean, I know Bruce Feldman wrote about that. I mean, it makes sense to an extent of, hey, Tommy Rees is an up-and-coming coach. If he does well in this job, I mean, that's why he comes to an Alabama. That's why he leaves Notre Dame, where he had Hartman at quarterback, was a really great guy who you probably want to coach if you're the OC there. But you leave to come coach for Nick Saban and work under him and basically get that kind of Nick Saban blessing, if you will, or get that Nick Saban on your resume. Because, he could very well turn this into a head coaching opportunity if he wants it. So I think that whether it's this year, next year, whenever it might be, if Tommy Rees does well here, he could very well turn an opportunity like that.
No doubt.
Well, we'll hear from Nick Saban and Alabama players next Wednesday here in Nashville at SEC Media Days. Nick, I imagine you'll be up here, so safe travels, and we'll have to connect.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to getting back to Nashville.
All
Appreciate
right.
it, Nick. Thank you.
Nick Kelly of the
you guys.
Tuscaloosa News with us previewing Alabama football. Top 10 lists continuing to come out on ESPN of position groups around the NFL, and another Titan has found his way onto one. We'll tell you where Kevin Byard landed coming up next. It's Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
School's out, but Tennessee summer season's definitely in session. So if you haven't taken care of it yet, Cool Ray can keep you cool with a $69 AC tune-up. Much like maintenance on your car, you want to take care of your system before the larger issues start happening at hand. And maybe you've already noticed that the AC unit is not acting right. Well, they have trusted certified technicians on standby ready to find the fix so you don't break a sweat. And this includes no service fee with any repair. And Cool Ray has a solution for anything outside of repair of your AC unit. And going on now, you can save up to $1,250 on a brand new Tempstar home comfort system. Plus, they boost a lifetime parts and labor warranty on new Tempstar home comfort systems, including $0 in repair costs for the life of your system. And you won't break a sweat or the bank when that kind of built-in warranty is there. And don't forget, Cool Ray isn't just there for your HVAC needs. They're protecting your entire home thanks to the Cool Ray electrical team, who can help you find the perfect whole home generator just in time for the stormy season. So schedule your next visit online at coolray.com. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's coolray.com.
List season continues on. Welcome in, Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone. Lucas Panzica and Blaine Bishop with you today. We went through it yesterday. ESPN doing their top 10 lists of position groups, Jeremy Fowler polls, executives, coaches, scouts, and Jeffrey Simmons landing number 3 on the defensive tackle list.
What did I predict on that?
You predicted 2 for.
Did I say 2 or 3?
Jackson says you predicted 5.
For KB or for Jeff?
No, for Jeff.
Jeff.
For Jeff.
No.
Jeff, he predicted right 3.
Oh,
I
yeah, that's
predicted
right.
3,
Yeah,
and
you nailed
I
Jeff.
predicted 5 for Byard.
You predicted 5 for Byard. Kevin Byard, the number 7 safety on the top 10 safety list. You go with that with 6 safeties in front of him?
I looked at the list and I saw it today, and it could be an argument either way for 6 and 7. I mean, yeah. So, it's all about preference, but those guys are deserving. So I'm not going to be him personally. I bet he would, but because I still believe he's top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's right there. So that's why I predicted 6. I think is what I said. Maybe
Jesse Bates gets 6th of the Falcons. Javon Holland.
Who used to be with the Bengals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was here for that playoff game a couple years ago. Javon Holland, Dolphins, number 5.
Yeah, that's a shot. I mean, not surprised that he was as high. He's a good player, but that's the one I kind of doubt. I like his skill set, but he doesn't make as many plays as Byard.
Versatility seems to be what coaches and scouts rave about when it comes to Javon Holland.
Right, and that's where it bears out that you don't have the numbers. See, so he's up there. He's not only a blitzer, things I did. Not only is he covering the slot, but he's also playing the deep half. And, he's a great open field tackler. And so he's also getting his hands on some balls. So those are the guys, versatility. And I would say Byard is pretty versatile because they can use him in the slot. Remember, last season when they had all those injuries, you used him in the slot, and he kind of took him out of his comfort zone, which is being, the playmaker from the post, and reading the quarterback. A great open field tackler. That's tough in space. People just, glance by that. But and he can blitz and play in the run front. So he's probably he's good, but he's not elite at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's really good at it. So that to me, he's up there. He's probably right where they're saying. I mean, 5, 6, 7. Holland guy's an up and coming talent. I watched him. I think number 8 he's for the Dolphins. Yep. So yeah, he's pretty solid, but he hadn't made enough plays yet for me. But Byard's his resume is off the charts. I mean, he's right now already, and he's still got one more. This coming season, he's already to me the best, and not even Titans. He may be the best. Well, they got the one guys in the Hall of Fame. Euler, but he's got interceptions all over the place. But, he's definitely the number 1 Titan safety in their history.
Budda Baker 4.
Who I mentioned.
You did. Justin Simmons 3 of the Broncos. Derwin James of the Chargers 2. Minka Fitzpatrick, number 1 of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He's blossomed as a Steeler, yeah. He's been, because they try to play him at corner with the Dolphins, and it's because he plays that star position when he was at Alabama, and then that's really converts to safety in the league. And then that's when you become an elite safety because you have cover skills as well as you can play the ball and ball hawking skills, and you're physical. So usually those guys end up being that nickel safety guy. So that's it's like kind of like Moden, just at a lesser version.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Same thing. Just not as big of a player.
Here's the blurb from Jeremy Fowler about Byard. He says, Byard, who was the number 3 safety a year ago, now number 7, he says, on this list at least, he says, one of the game's most consistent performers, Byard promises ball production every year. Averages about 4 interceptions per season, 27 picks in 7 seasons. He's the only player on the list with 5 seasons of at least 4 interceptions. That Byard fell 4 spots year over year, that Byard fell 4 spots year over year is not indicative of a declining skill set. The quote here is from an AFC personnel veteran who says, there's not really a drop-off here. It's just a byproduct of a crowded safety group and different styles of players that can play into preferences. Byard is just so solid and has plus instincts, and he embodies that Mike Vrabel toughness and discipline.
Right, and that goes into, I'm not taking anything away from Mike Vrabel. I don't think it has anything to do with Mike Vrabel. I think Kevin Byard has to do everything about Kevin Byard. I don't, we can, tag that in. This is not college where, he embodies that. This is pros. You are who you are, and you are your own brand. And so he can play in any defense and be successful at anything because he's good at pretty much everything. Yeah, he is at safety. So he can fit in any scheme, any system. So some of those other players, like James, who's probably a much more gifted player, but he's always injured.
Yeah.
So to me, that hurts our durability. Byard hadn't missed
Should
a
be
game.
a factor. Yeah.
No doubt. That's for Hall of Fame. That's everything, that goes into all of that. So yeah, I would knock him down just because of that. Now, is he still a great talent? Yeah, but when he's healthy, yeah. So Byard he's right there at the 5. He's 5'6" guy. He's really good. It'll be interesting to see how well he plays this season because we can say it's not a contract year, but it actually is. They already showed their hand, the Titans, that we want to take a pay cut. If you're going to be here, then this is probably going to be it, unless you take a pay cut next year. So him, King, and Tannehill, I look for them to have really good seasons because they know this is it. They know. The signals are there. Now, they could give him an extension. They can, especially the King or Tannehill, maybe 1-year extensions. But as of right now, it looks like this is it for all 3 of those guys.
It got me thinking, and we were talking about this off the air.
They're still playing at a high level.
All 3.
Yeah, all 3 in my mind. Yes, yeah. Tannehill, you can hate him if you want to, but he's still, to me, in the middle of the road, best starting quarterbacks, in the NFL. He's, 15, 16, so wherever you want to put him, but he's not in the 20s. He's not a starter. Yeah.
What's the hardest position physically to play in the National Football League? Purely physically, not mentally, just from a physical standpoint. We'll get into that. I want to hear Blaine's thoughts on this coming up next. It's hour 2 of Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
Help!
Lake lovers, listen up. A highly anticipated lakefront resort, golf, and marina community is releasing a never-before limited number of lake lots to the public. One day only, Saturday, July 29th. Experience lake living at a fraction of the price. Wooded estate lots from just $64.9. Incredible sunset waterfront lots, $20K off. Lake villa packages from $349.9. Private golf cart access to a new marina and resort. 10 miles of walking trails, 3.5 miles of shoreline. Brand new 26,000 square foot clubhouse. Waterfront concerts overlooking a beautiful lake. Pickleball, pools, on-site coffee shop, and much more. Play on the lake or simply relax at the Waterfront Restaurant just over 30 minutes from scenic Knoxville, Tennessee. Financing available. Call to secure your private tour appointment. Times are limited. Enjoy life on the water, fresh air, boat rides, and sunshine. Celebrate the lake life and make memories. Limited property release Saturday, July 29th. Visit us at lakelivingtn.com or better yet, give us a call at 865-408-9992. Invest in something real.
It is 2:02. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Major League Baseball, the All-Star break officially over as the NL defeated the AL in Seattle 3-2. The first win for the National League in the All-Star game since 2012. Regular season picks back up Friday in Major League Baseball. Only 2 games remain before the Major League Soccer regular season goes on a month-long break for Leagues Cup. And tonight, Nashville Soccer Club returns home to Geodis Park, hosting Philadelphia Union in an Eastern Conference matchup. Nashville currently second in the East. Philadelphia is 6th. Kickoff at 7:30. Pre-game coverage starts right here on The Zone at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once, and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Hour number 2 with Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone. I'm going to say it. It's the nexus of the sports talk radio universe. Mickey Ryan coined it. We're going to keep that going each and every Wednesday at the turn of the hour here on Blaine and Mickey. Lucas Panzica with you in for Mickey Ryan this week. Blaine Bishop across from me, Jackson Williams and Reed Smith making it happen on the other side of the glass. Blaine, you posed this question to me before we hopped on here and got on the air. And I found it interesting how perplexed you seem by it, how you're trying to figure it out and sort through it as a guy that played a decade in this league. The most physically challenging position to play in the NFL, as this new series comes out on Netflix called Quarterback, led by Omaha Productions and Peyton Manning, chronicling Pat Mahomes, Marcus Mariota, and Kirk Cousins on just what it's like to be a quarterback in the National Football League. They call it the hardest position in sports. And mentally, you say there's no debate. But physically, could be a different conversation.
Yeah, it could be, and I think, quarterback has got to be in there physically because they're getting hit. Sometimes they don't even have the ball. It doesn't matter if you're a running quarterback or you're a pocket passer, you're still getting hit. So, you take the hit. But just the physicality, you could always say the O-line and D-line, and, they're hitting every single play. There's never really a play. As a safety, sometimes there's plays you may not even touch anybody. So it's just always been interesting. I'm going to just say this. This is a real tough call for me. I really don't know the answer. But what I can say is the players that have to do things that are abnormal to me are the cornerbacks. I think running backwards with all the passing, you get to see that, you go to these camps. And, you got all these, 5 stars, 4 stars. All the lines are long for the wide receivers. The DB line, cornerback line is short. It's super short. So half of those guys should be converting because everybody's not going to make it at, wide receiver. So I think it's because of how hard the position is. Now, maybe not physically, but it's hard to backpedal as fast as somebody running forward. That's just natural logic, right? But the physicality to it maybe not be the same as an O-line or a D-line. But the things, the traits that you have to do are really tough. And I firmly believe this. The cornerbacks have to be the most athletic players on the football field to get that job done. And most of the time, you're not going to get it done. The way this league is set up, where you can barely touch them now, and all the schemes and throwing the football. So I don't even know if that kind of equates to the physicality. But to me, the traits to do something like that is pretty hard. Physically, yeah, people are hitting every single play. It's kind of hard to say that they're not involved in this equation. And should be part of the answer. I'm not talking about all the elite, Hall of Fame type players or the Jeffrey Simmons who are just off the charts athletically. They're freaks of freaks, but it's a tough call. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
It's just fascinating to me how back and forth you are on it.
I battle with myself as this conversation. You could tell because physically, if I say the word physical, then you could say a corner or safety doesn't even touch somebody on certain plays, where the offensive and defensive line may touch somebody every single play.
People think contact.
Right. Physical, right? And so I'm also bringing in there the traits. It's just I think every position brings about its own equation of how difficult it is, really, to be honest. There's some players who would say, well, quarterback, if you're smart, is not that difficult, If you can throw the ball, well, but to play that position, you got to have those traits. We've seen a lot of them who haven't had it, and they had traits of great athleticism, and it didn't work out. So what's more important? And I would say, your leadership skills as well as your brain with those traits and throwing the football. So it's equally as tough. And in other worlds, it's probably the toughest, obviously, because of what you have to do. But physically, man, it's wow. I don't know. I want to say corner and D-line. I'm going to still stay true to defense. And the only reason why I say defensive line more so than offensive line, because they know the snap count, and they're getting off and they're attacking you. You then have to take the brunt of that mashing and then make a play and not lose ground, which is it's tough. I think it's a little bit tougher. But, maybe, an offensive lineman could talk me out of it. Maybe remote or, somebody could talk me out of it.
See, get B-Hop in here and see.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys go back and forth on that.
Yeah, especially, B-Hop or D-Hop or any, because it's just, they can all argue for their position.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I mean, anybody want any input, kind of give me their reason. It'd be hard for me to disagree with any of that because I think every position is really difficult in the NFL. Man, it's different in college. You feel threatened as a defensive back pretty much every single play. I mean, you get this dude running and he's running full blast and you're standing still thinking they're going to run a certain route. And then it doesn't happen. This guy just blazes right by you. And you're just like, oh my. And then you could be running blade and you'd be like, man, what is this guy on? I mean, like, I couldn't even imagine right now me playing deep safety and Tariq Hill's running at me. I'm like, what the heck? Hey, bro, we're not in an advantageous, great position here because there's not a time that I want to be running with him on a go route and he got a head of steam coming and he's already at top speed and I'm up here backpedaling. It's just not where you want to be. So hey, man, it's tough. And that's part of being physical, see? Running. Like, these dudes are, like Waddle, all these quick dudes that kind of like video game type players. You're like, oh, dang, he stopped. How did he do that? Like, I would be enamored, like, watching film, like, dang, did you see that? I'm like, boy, you better be ready. I'm getting ready. Then I'm go out there and practice hard, and they be mad at me because I'm like, hey, I'm getting ready for Tariq Hill. What are you talking about, man? You better get going. Yeah, so, yeah. Tough one. Tough call. I don't know, Jackson. What would you say? You play a little ball, you and Reed. What is the physically most demanding position in the NFL outside of quarterback? Because we all know that's the toughest, especially mentally.
Going offensive line.
Offensive line. Now, give us your reason.
Were you an O-lineman?
I was an O-lineman, so that's...
see, he went right where...
There it is.
But you're getting hit every play. Guaranteed.
But you actually know when the start of that play is, and the D guy doesn't. He's standing there taking your hit.
You're still crashing every play.
No, you are hitting every single play. There's no doubt. That's why I say I would have to favor O-line or D-line. Yeah. You're hitting every single play.
Well, you weren't a full-time safety until you get to the league, right?
I never played safety before in my life.
Didn't play safety at all, right?
Yeah.
So physically for you, what was the toughest adjustment going from corner to safety, just as far as what muscle memory, just a certain movement?
No, physicality.
Just the physicality in general, the contact.
Yeah, the physicality was off the charts. Now, I was a physical corner in college, but I wasn't. It wasn't like playing safety. I mean, so I'm actually at the weight I weighed when I graduated college is 190. Well, I got up as big as 210. 215 in the pros.
How quickly did you get up to that weight?
Oh, it took me 2 or 3 years. I kind of settled in at like 200. That was my best playing weight, but there initially, because my body was, I could just keep putting, I could have been, I just could put on muscle. It didn't even matter. I lift weights. I just got bigger. This was kind of insane and got stronger every time I lifted. And they were like, dang, man, how you get stronger every time you lift? Yeah, well, this just happened. I don't know. So it was kind of natural for me. So, and then towards the end, I got back down around 205, 210. And when I first started off, that's what the weight they always had me in there is 197. I graduated college at 193.
615-737-1045 for you to chime in. Also on the F&M Bank chat on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. John on YouTube says, tight end, toughest position to play in football physically. You got to block big D tackles or lean edge rushers or linebackers coming downhill and then transition to running routes.
Yeah, running routes and catching the ball. Yeah. So there could be an argument for all of them. I'd love to hear like someone who's just defined on this is the one and that's it.
Yeah.
And they didn't play the position. So it'll be, whew, man. I'm with Jackson. I think O-line D. What did Reed say? What did he say? Give us your now. He's a skill guy.
I would say linebacker.
I just wanted you to say something like kicker or something.
I'm changing my answer to long snapper.
Long snapper, right?
Hey, that's not easy.
So
man.
you said linebacker.
What about gunner?
Now that was I trust. I've done that. My rookie year. Oh man,
Talking about terrifying.
They changed the rules. I used to use running out of bounds as a weapon. The weapon. And I start running through the players on the sideline, on the opposite team.
Oh,
whatever. Yeah. And
they nipped that in the bud.
Yeah, they did. You can't do that anymore.
You take half of your pinky toe steps on that white line,
man.
and you come back in. That's a penalty.
Smashed a couple of times. Man, I'm like, dang, I only got 5 yards. I only got time to feel like because you're 2 against 1. So I realized, through practicing that I had to look at it as I'm not going against 2. I attack 1. I attack one of them, and then hopefully then that eludes the other one. And that kind of actually started working for me, and then you kind of learn some of the tricks of the trades playing the position. So it was pretty cool. I did it most of my rookie year. Yeah.
I don't know if Jordan Dajani's football career extends past middle school, but we'll ask him anyway. Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports. There's also a crazy story surrounding Dan Snyder, the NFL, and how John Gruden was ousted with the Las Vegas Raiders, that there is a lot to dive into. We'll see if Jordan can paint the picture on that as well. Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports next on 104.5 The Zone.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready for when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. And have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Well, some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out just to get a freaking appointment, but not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without the dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and staff to fix your car right away. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says, "We will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away, and that means fixing every vehicle right away." So Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family owned for 24 years. If you want the best to work on your European car, just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said you.
The hardest position to play in the National Football League from a physical standpoint. That's been the conversation here on Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. A lot to get to as far as NFL storylines go as well. This mess with Dan Snyder and the NFL involving John Gruden's firing in Vegas. 10 available free agents right now that I think will catch anybody's eye, and who lands where first. Big topic of discussion right now around the National Football League. It's a good thing Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports joins Blaine and Mickey each and every Wednesday at 2:20. Jordan, good afternoon, my friend.
My man, what is going on? It's nice to hear you in the host chair. First of all, I heard you say something that you were unsure if my football career went past middle school, which I think is absolutely egregious.
Did you say that?
If you head over to my Twitter profile, I want you to look at my header photo, okay? Does that look like a middle school student to you? Do you see me standing there with my sexy big shoulder pads? I played tight end in high school, baby. Now, it's true, I got 0 offers. No one was recruiting me. There's no doubt about that. But I just wanted to clear the record that I did get to play football in high school.
Jordan, I want so badly for it to be true that you just made this your cover photo after hearing me say that on the airwaves a few minutes ago. Or has this been your cover photo?
Man, that was quick moving quick.
I stand corrected.
No, I've had that up probably for a month or two. I change my header photo a lot. I would love to lie and say that I just made it my header photo, but it's been there for a minute.
Well, I say
man.
that.
I love the locks, though, man. The nice hair.
Yeah, he's rocking it.
Yeah, where'd that go?
The oversized shoulder pads. I love it. I say that, though. Nice. I say that because I remember you putting a clip up from maybe your middle school football career. Do you know what I'm talking about? That we talked about it on this show at one point.
Oh, man, yeah. I almost, cost our that was back in middle school, actually. I think it was 8th grade, maybe. I almost cost our team, our little state championship game because I lost my temper and I laid out one of the nose tackles after the whistle. And the ref missed it. The video's up there somewhere. I'll retweet it. The video's up there. But the referee missed it, so I didn't pick up a 15-yard penalty. We ended up winning the game, which I was very happy about. But, yeah, that was one of the times I really lost my temper on the football field. Glad I did not get caught.
Stay out of this man's way on a middle school football field.
All right. Well, great articles was what we're talking about. I think that's what Lucas was referring to is what's the toughest position outside of quarterback to play in the National Football League?
Physically.
Yeah, physically. Mm-hmm.
Oh, physically. Yeah, I mean, if you ask just toughest in general, I would say cornerback or defensive back. But if we're talking about the physicality of the game of football, you know what? My mind goes to a position that's kind of undervalued these days. How about the linebacker position? Because let's say you're Fred Warner of the 49ers. On first down, you have to stop Ezekiel Elliott at the line of scrimmage in the A-gap and get physical there. On second down, I have to go out to the flats and stop Tony Pollard on a swing pass. On third down, I might be on the field and I'll have to bump and run with CeeDee Lamb in the slot. The linebacker position has to do a lot these days, whether it's being physical at the line of scrimmage, getting out to the flats, covering, and you have to do all of that while you're being one of the most physical tacklers on the defense as well. So in terms of physicality, the linebacker position might get my vote there.
Well, since we're doing hypothetical, really no answer is wrong here. What is the best NFL team you would want to play with if you were playing in any game at any time in any era?
Wow, that's a good question. I would like to play with a team that has the best home field advantage, right? I went to the school at University of Tennessee, and having that home field advantage, I can't even imagine what those players were feeling like when they were on the field every Saturday, having the backing of that crowd and just how loud it is, and it makes such a disadvantage for offenses coming into your home. So, if you ask me, right now, I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs might have one of the best home field advantages. Playing a night game in Arrowhead, hearing those chants, knowing that you are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, that seems really appealing to me.
And I was thinking, I know everybody's going to, the Dolphins, but I probably should have couched it over the last decade or so. But, the team that didn't actually win the Super Bowl was undefeated was the Patriots, who got beat by the Giants. And I don't know about their home field. I think it's a good home field, but I don't know if it's off the charts. So, but, and then naturally the Dolphins, who went undefeated. When was that, Jordan, in the 70s or
72.
80s? Yeah, I wasn't born yet. So
Jordan,
yeah,
with that
he's just dropping the dimes
pulling
right there.
Mickey Ryan right there.
All right, well, since we had something fun there, how about letting us go back to something maybe not so fun, and that is Alvin Kamara, I guess now, pleaded no contest, misdemeanor. So I'm just trying to ask you, are there any examples of, previous, I guess, players getting suspended for what he did or what, he got served here, I guess, or will he escape even again a suspension?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Alvin Kamara has reportedly pleaded no contest to a lesser misdemeanor charge. And that's good for him since he reportedly no longer faces a felony charge. He'll have to do community service, pay $100,000, I believe, in medical bills. And what's important to note is that this does not mean anything related to a potential suspension.
See, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, because the Titans play him the first game.
Week 1.
So I was hoping he was being suspended for a game.
I mean, exactly. He is still likely found in violation of the personal conduct policy. And listen, NBC Sports reported a year ago that Kamara was looking at a 6-game suspension.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to go off of here. I'm straight up speculating, but I would bet that it's less than 6 games. That's just my opinion. And you ask a good question about precedents, right? The NFL probably does go off of some of their precedents from years past, whether it comes to assault charges, whether it comes to pleading down to a misdemeanor, whatever that may be. But that still means nothing. We don't only go solely off of precedents here. And, one thing, if I'm just thinking outside the box here, I wonder if this event happening at the Pro Bowl factors in any way, right? Because that's a celebration of NFL stars at the end of the year, and you don't want them committing alleged crimes in the city where that special event is held. So, yes, I do think Alvin Kamara gets suspended. I don't think it's going to be 6 games. I'm not going off of anything, but maybe my guess is 4 games if he's going to get suspended.
Titans just need it to be 1.
Yeah. So you do think he's going to get suspended, though? I was afraid that he may not get suspended at all.
I feel pretty certain he will be suspended, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, well, another dark side of the NFL. These Gruden emails that were leaked supposedly by, someone at the NFL office, maybe even Roger Goodell, because they don't like each other or something. With like something that Gruden said even when he was a broadcaster. So I don't know how far back it goes, but man, where do you think this is going to help Gruden's case or the NFL's case?
Oh my goodness, guys! I've had a tough day at work, dude. I woke up at 7 a.m. and this was the first thing on my computer, and it took me hours to write this article because I wanted to do something for CBS Sports, but I had a tough time figuring out what the main point was. Right? ESPN published a very long article today, and basically the bottom line is we don't know who was the leak for the John Gruden emails. But according to all these sources, from executives to whatever owners that ESPN interviewed, they kind of whittled it down to maybe 3 parties. They're looking at Roger Goodell and NFL executives. They're looking at Dan Snyder. They're looking at NFLPA Associate Chief Maurice Smith. So we don't know for certain who leaked these. But I think the main point of the article was that whether Dan Snyder leaked this or not, he ended up being hurt by what happened with John Gruden. And the reason is because once those emails were leaked, the congressional committee, started looking at the Commanders more seriously because some of those emails were sent to Commanders executives. And then what ended up happening was Dan Snyder and Roger Goodell had to testify under oath, and that kind of just brought more of those Commanders drama that we've been dealing with over the past couple of years, brought those issues back to the forefront, and things kind of went from there. And all of a sudden now Dan Snyder is selling the team. So that was kind of one of the main points of the article was that Snyder was hurt by what happened with the John Gruden email leak. And what's interesting is it's pretty wild that Dan Snyder was the one who leaked these emails because he brought a nuclear bomb to a knife fight and ended up blowing himself up.
Oh, wow. Thanks a lot for getting clarity there. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Jackson Williams, our producer, just said something in my ear that he's seeing around DeAndre Hopkins and betting odds as a free agent. Jackson, what did you just tell me? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my. He did not sign, did he?
He is not signed, but the betting odds, yesterday, D-Hop was at a plus 500 to sign with the Titans. Today, he is at minus 300 followed by the Patriots at plus 450, followed by the Chiefs at plus 900.
DeAndre Hopkins odds shifting in the course of one day from plus 500 to land with the Titans to minus 300 to land with the Titans. Suddenly, the overwhelming betting favorite to land D-Hop are the Tennessee Titans. Jordan, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm hearing 2 year, $30 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
That'd be a lot of money.
I saw it on social media.
So you know it's true then.
It's true.
Let me say this. I think those odds when it comes to potential landing spots are drastically affected by reports. And there was a reporter, I'm blanking on who it was, I saw it on social media yesterday, believing that the Titans were going to end up with DeAndre Hopkins. So maybe with that opinion is why those odds shifted. But I will say it going to minus 300 is fairly dramatic. And it's tough because if you ask me my opinion where DeAndre's going to land, I've told you guys that I'm waiting for that, 11th hour suitor to emerge from the woodwork and all of a sudden sign up. Yeah, the Chiefs, whoever it may be. But if not, I am looking at the Titans as, in my opinion, maybe more favorites over the Patriots because they need DeAndre Hopkins. You know what that wide receiving core looks like. They want to make sure that they are fully suited and ready to go on offense in 2023. They need that legitimate number one bona fide wide receiver. That's why the Titans brought him in. That's why they've allegedly, reportedly offered a contract. That's why they're interested in his services. So, yes, there's no doubt that the Titans are going to be one of the favorites to land him.
I mean, it's the Titans and Patriots right now. Those are the two teams that he's visited. And now I'm sure Titans fans will be refreshing their social media feeds with bated breath that these odds have shifted for the next few days or so. But there's still no reason to believe that anything happens on this front before training camp or even in the early days of training camp. Right, Jordan?
100%. And the way I put it is that we've kind of entered the green area here, right? We're in Wednesday, July 12th. So I think anytime in the next couple of weeks, it's possible. I think it's rather later than sooner, if you will. Training camp is probably around that area when you're expecting him to sign. And, bottom line is I don't think you want to put too much stock into these odds changing. But as you mentioned, the Titans are definitely one of the favorites.
We were talking about this yesterday, Jordan, the report or I guess it was on Monday, from Jeremy Fowler over the weekend that not Jeremy Fowler, I apologize, Mike Reese of ESPN, who mentioned that, yes, the Titans and Patriots are the favorites, but the Titans have been the more aggressive team in pursuing DeAndre Hopkins. What does that mean to you, to be the more aggressive team in pursuit of a player? Is that financial? Is there more to it than that? How do you process something like that?
It definitely means two things. I think that they've been more aggressive when it comes to keeping in contact with DeAndre Hopkins, more aggressive in facilitating conversation and being open to having a kind of conversation when it comes to what he wants in a contract and what he wants in his next landing spot. But the second part of that is, as you mentioned, I do think that the Titans have probably been more aggressive when it comes to creating that dollar figure and being flexible with the structure of what a potential contract would look like. They've been talking more contract than the Patriots have. That's how I take that report.
Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports with us on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Jordan, since you cover the entire NFL, I guess what's the biggest storyline going into training camp, I guess, for any team?
Yeah, there's some new quarterback up in New York. I'm blanking on his name right now. I think his name's Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah.
I think he's probably the biggest storyline just heading into the 2023 season in general. And listen, I've talked about the Jets probably all offseason. It's not just Aaron Rodgers, right? I think that they have a talented team around him. Now it comes to implementing that new offense. You have to remember that New York has a new offensive coordinator as well. So implementing that offense, what it's going to look like, how they're facilitating personnel, Aaron Rodgers and him really buying into that new system is really what this 2023 campaign hinges on, in my opinion. And that begins in training camp. Aaron Rodgers is obviously always going to pick up headlines because of the star power he brings with his name. He's on a new team. But how he's operating in that new offense and how things are going in New York early on is one of the main storylines in training camp.
Who has the highest rate of knocking off in the AFC the Kansas City Chiefs? If you had to pick one team, what team is that?
You know what's funny is I was talking to some Broncos fans earlier today, and I brought up the stat that you know what, Patrick Mahomes is 11-0 against the Denver Broncos. You know his record against the Tennessee Titans?
Ooh, 500.
In the regular season, I believe he's 1-2 versus the Tennessee Titans, which is pretty remarkable. So,
So 2
you know, I
and
was
2
watching.
in the postseason. So you'd be correct, right? 500.
Somewhere around there.
Oh, you nailed it right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I was watching the Bussin' with the Boys podcast with Travis Kelce yesterday, and he brought up that they struggled. Kansas City struggled when they've come to Tennessee, and I know you guys have been in the press box over the past couple of years watching the Titans somehow pull out a win against one of the Super Bowl favorites. It seems like Tennessee, I don't want to say has had Kansas City's number. I'm definitely not saying that, but historically, in recent history at least, they've had some pretty good success against the Chiefs.
And I guess lastly here, that doc series with the quarterbacks here, Cousins, Mahomes, and Mariota. Have you watched that or know what's coming with that and what they're trying to bring about at playing the quarterback position?
I'm kind of curious how Marcus Mariota ended up in that group, right? That was kind of surprising in my opinion. Yeah. I have not watched it yet, but I am more excited to watch it because I saw a clip on Twitter of Patrick Mahomes going through when he suffered that ankle injury and went back to the locker room getting x-rays. And obviously it's uncensored content, which I'm a big fan of, gives you a really nice glimpse behind the scenes. And this is the most important position in the game of football with some of the biggest stars like Patrick Mahomes as well. So, yeah, I'm very excited for this. I think it's going to be pretty revolutionary in terms of an entertainment product.
What team do you want to do the Hard Knocks? I think they just announced the Jets are doing it, right? But outside of the Jets, I mean, man, I want to see the Titans. But, I mean, I'm sure just, behind the scenes. But what team would you want to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, selfishly, I think the Titans would definitely be up there for me because I cover the team and I'm from Nashville. But I think the Jets are just kind of the perfect option if I had to pick one. I don't remember the list of the teams that were eligible, but I do remember the Jets were up there, and it's been announced today that they will be the Hard Knocks team. And, again, I think the storyline of that being a team on the rise, a brand-new quarterback with star power like Aaron Rodgers, who's obviously a very polarizing figure, and he's definitely going to give you some great sound bites throughout training camp, preseason, whatever it may be. The Jets are a team that is just entering a new era, and that's exciting for any team in Hard Knocks because you get to see the beginning of that. So I think the Jets were the perfect choice. I don't know how happy they are that they were selected, but at the same time, when they signed Aaron Rodgers, I think that they knew what they were getting into.
There you have it. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Jordan, real quick, on the way out of, we'll say, the top 10 available free agents right now in the NFL, however that rattles around in your mind, DeAndre Hopkins, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Ingram, Yannick Ngakoue on that list, who's the first to get signed?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think that he might not be the best free agent, but what about someone like Yannick Ngakoue? What about someone like George Fant, who played left and right tackle for the Jets over the past couple of years? These guys aren't going to command top dollar, which in my mind may facilitate easily them signing a new deal. I'd love to see someone like DeAndre Hopkins or Dalvin Cook or whoever it is, Kareem Hunt, sign a deal immediately. But I think those guys are waiting out to see what the market's going to look like. Maybe if there's an injury for someone like Kareem Hunt. But I'm looking at guys who are going to be some value picks at this point. So Yannick Ngakoue is definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on.
He is Jordan Dajani each and every Wednesday. Same time, same place, 2:20 on Blaine and Mickey. Jordan, appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you in a week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
JD.
So DeAndre Hopkins from plus 500 to minus 300 on his odds to join the Tennessee Titans.
What?
The X-Files.
I thought you had some more news.
Nothing new. Just recycling the X-Files thing.
Oh, my.
Great work.
You scared me.
Our producer, Jackson Williams. 615-737-1045 for you to chime in as we round out the show. You have odds shifting. You have Mike Reese saying the Titans have been the more aggressive team pursuing D-Hop. Everything we've heard over the course of the last 7 days or so, is it giving you any more confidence about the Titans' ability to land DeAndre Hopkins? We'll be right back. It's Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back, Blaine and Mickey. Final segment, taking you until 3 o'clock. Lucas Panzica in for Mickey Ryan this week.
Worst position, Blaine.
With the hitman Blaine Bishop, Jackson Williams, and Reed Smith on the other side of the glass. Titans fans reacting to the odds shift around DeAndre Hopkins. Minus 300, right, is where the odds have shifted to.
Yeah, was at plus 500, so now it's at minus 300.
Plus
800 point shift.
To minus 300.
Wow,
That's a big shift.
For you big gamblers, that's a big shift, right?
It's a big shift.
Wow. Dang. It's almost like he's definitely coming to the Titans.
Early in the process, too. I mean, just in the context of the DeAndre Hopkins case, nobody expects him to land anywhere officially until
camp starts?
August, honestly. I mean, camp starts in 2 weeks. But does anybody expect DeAndre Hopkins to be on a team, signed and ready to go by report day?
That's a broad question. I think.
I mean, if you're him,
I think I don't. I think it doesn't matter really for him. I would want to be there at the start of training camp if I was going to a team I do not know their offense. So like the Chiefs or Buffalo, or where I have no connection to what they like to do.
Well, now both teams that are sitting at the top of this list right now, he has played for the offensive coordinator, Tim Kelly. And
so that's why I think he can wait. That's why I bring
Right.
up that analogy because, if I know the offense, then, now it's just about getting the timing down with the quarterback. So because at receiver, you're only as good as the timing and your work you put in with your quarterback. So it's not just like he can just come in just because he's DeAndre Hopkins. I'm gonna just dominate. Well, there's more to it than just that. And he's good. He's a great player, but he also has to get in there and practice and be on the same page with the quarterback. So I want to say any team that he does have no relationship as far as understanding what they like to do, I would expect him signed right before training camp. Now, if he's still out there, training camp starts, and the Titans, and if he knows the offense, I think he has more time. Yeah, I wouldn't be in a rush either. But I wouldn't put it past him to sign before, especially if somebody come up with the cash and he doesn't know the offense. Yeah. I think Andy Reid is going to, if I was making a guess, Andy Reid is going to get Jones done, Chris Jones, and then before camp.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, then that still leaves the window open. And then that will open up maybe space for D-Hop. It could be for redoing Kelsey and Mahomes. I don't know. Because there's a lot of people talking about they want their contracts redone. So I don't know if that would help or hurt the D-Hop position, but I think he's got plenty of time. We're talking about just the Titans. Yeah, he's got plenty of time.
Let the market develop a little bit.
See if somebody gets injured.
Right, in that early portion of training camp.
And then his incentive goes to, that's now in my contract.
Right.
There's no incentives. Yep. So I'm probably out of the race as a GM and probably fired by now with my $10 million max. Yeah.
You don't think that he's seen that number yet? Or that we'll say double digits. Do you think either offer, because Mike Reese reporting both the Titans and Patriots have an offer on the table, would you be surprised if either offer is more than $10 million base, not even including incentives?
I don't know how tough negotiators ran and the GMs, but I would start off low because to me there was always never going to be huge demand for him because of he was injured. They can picture him to be kind of a disgruntled player to a certain extent, that a personality, get me the ball type guy when he wasn't that. And so then it was going to be a small market for him. It's always curious, even when you're an elite player, even myself, you always think the market is bigger than what you think.
Right.
I mean, I gave you the list of teams. I didn't like any really of those teams besides Philly. So, and that was a really good team. So he may be looking at this, man, if I could just get the Chiefs up to where the Titans are, I'm good at $10 million. So I think it was less than $10 million. That's just me, though.
You're thinking single digits.
Because to me, if it was $10 million and then with incentives up to 10, 12, but what do you think you getting?
Yeah.
What you want 15 because that's what OBJ got? You're not going to get that until somebody gets injured. That's what I say. Now, there's rumors out there that the Titans is around the 2-year, $30 million, and that's only a $5 million cap hit. So I don't know if that's true or not. You don't know what to believe on social media. It wasn't vetted from a national guy, so can't say that's true or not. But if they did, I'm shocked that he didn't take that.
We'll see how it plays out. It is Winning Wednesday for you on 104.5 The Zone with The Zone and the Nashville Sounds. Caller number 5 right now to win a pair of tickets to see the Nashville Sounds host the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp at First Horizon Park, one of the best minor league names in the area, on Wednesday, July 19th. 615-737-1045. Caller 5 right now for your chance to win a pair of tickets seeing the Sounds take on Jacksonville a week from tonight. Big game tonight in Music City. Geodis Park, Nashville Soccer Club hosting Philadelphia Union. They will be at FC Cincinnati on Saturday. Big week for the dynamic of the Eastern Conference before the MLS regular season goes into a month-long break for Leagues Cup. You can hear us tonight on 104.5 The Zone. Juliani Baba and myself, 7 p.m. pregame, 7:30 kickoff between Nashville and Philadelphia. But that'll do it for us. Blaine Bishop out for the next couple of days. I'll be in here with Joe Hunk on Thursday. Hitman, enjoy the time.
But in the meantime,
in between time,
peace.